Deepak Chopra, where's the spirituality? Where's the compassion of those who just watched and did nothing?
They were victims of emotional retardation. As I told you, Larry, we need to educate our children in skills of emotional intelligence. How do you get in touch with your own feelings? How do you experience empathy, compassion? You know, there's now so much evidence that when we feel the suffering of others and when we want to alleviate it, it helps our well-being. It regulates our biological systems, what is called homeostasis, so we remain healthy. As part of our health education, we have to now include education in emotional skills, in spiritual skills. We have to start a program because this is such an epidemic right now, and every so often we have a program on your show because some crime has been committed by basically emotionally retarded children growing up in emotionally retarded homes and in emotionally retarded environments.
What, Dr. Amen, do you think the brains of the onlooker would show us? The onlooker who observes and does nothing.
Well, many people get frozen with anxiety. I mean, we call it frozen with fear because there's an area in the brain called the basal ganglia, and when there's too much adrenaline, some people, not everybody, but some people just get frozen and they don't do anything. I wrote an article for Men's Health called The Biology of Bravery. Who runs toward a fire while most of us run away from a fire? So it really has to do with brain function. Some people in an exciting, traumatic, adrenaline-filled situation will run toward it and help a person like that. Most people, however, they get frozen with fear and they don't do anything.
They're afraid that if they ran into
Dr. Amen,
to them.
Absolutely.
Dr. Amen, isn't there a phenomenon called mirror? Isn't there a phenomenon called mirror neurons, that when you have a lot of people in a group and mob mentality, that people's neurons start to phase in frequency lock-in with each other? It's called mirror neurons.
Yeah, no, that is actually, that's a brilliant idea. We have this very interesting system in our brain called mirror neurons. Yes. So if you yawn, well, all of a sudden I'll yawn. When we're at a basketball game and we see all the excitement, it's like we're actually living in that moment. Right. So those people who were laughing or who then participated, their brains actually played the movie when they were watching it as if they were there.
Jack, what have you learned about, and they just passed the law today, so it's very relevant, as is your book, Hate Crime. Well, what have you learned about that kind of person who would kill someone just because they're gay?
Well, I think what we've learned is that, as we've been hearing, they don't see these individuals as people. They don't see them as in any way equivalent to them, and that allows them to go ahead and justify in themselves the violence. And they also have an ideology that says that, well, that this country would be better off if some group wasn't here. So they feel very empowered to be able to try to act on that. And the final point about it that's really important, and ties back to this, is they believe that everybody shares their biases. They see themselves as heroic in that they're acting on the biases, but they think everyone else shares them, and everyone else is going to go ahead and, you know, in the book The Turner Diaries, and when Oklahoma City, the Murrah Federal Building was bombed, that they thought that was going to start a race war. And so they believe everybody shares their values, and I think in this group that they were believing everybody in the group wasn't going to tell on them, and that, you know, they were going to think that this was an appropriate behavior. And I think that what we need to work for is to try to figure out how to send different messages. Go ahead.
What do we know, Jack, about the rapist?
Well, I think what we know, we'll know more as this goes to trial, but what we know is that these are people who devalue women, who have no role, don't understand women as roles in this society, and that's a whole part of what we're seeing here, and as well as the people who jumped in and the people who, there was no empathy there for what the victim was going through, and it was a horrendous crime. And the part that makes it so bad is that it lasted so long. You know, it's one thing to be in a crime that lasts for 5 minutes, people jump in, they hit somebody, run away, but this went for hours.
All right. Thank you all, Dr. Daniel Amen. We'll be having you back, Jack McDevitt.